My people, welcome back to Trending Gist Room. In a recent statement, General Tiani of Niger Republic alleges that President Tinubu is collaborating with France to destabilize Niger. He claims that France, with Nigeria's knowledge, is allying with militant groups in the Lake Chad region to undermine Niger's security. The Nigerian government has swiftly denied these allegations, stating that Nigeria has no alliance with France or any other country to destabilize Niger, emphasizing Nigeria's commitment to regional stability. Analysts warn that such accusations could strain diplomatic relations and impact regional security efforts. Currently, there are mixed reactions to these allegations as some express concern over political conflicts while others call for transparency and dialogue between Nigeria and Niger. For more updates on this developing story, please subscribe to Trending Gist Room and turn on notifications to stay informed with the latest trending news.
So, these terrorists are currently benefiting from material support, financial support, and training support from France, with, of course, the complicity of other Western powers. Because if they simply told France to stop, I am sure France would stop. But since they are complicit and Niger deserves a correction, it is of course necessary to supervise the terrorists so that ultimately Niger falls and it is proven to the world, to Africa, and to Nigeria in particular, that we are not worthy of any self-determination, that we are not worthy of taking responsibility for ourselves, and that we are nothing but incapable. But Allah, may He be praised and exalted, is with the truthful, and God willing, they will fail.
Niger Republic's head of state, General Abdurrahmane Chiani, has accused France of providing financial support to Nigerian authorities to establish a military base in Borno State. Chiani believes that this initiative is part of a broader plan by France to destabilize Niger and the entire confederation of the Alliance of Sahel states. He has articulated concerns that this move could lead to regional instability, framing it as a deliberate act of interference by France in the affairs of Niger.
The destabilization strategy is simple. It consists, firstly, as I said, of financing, equipping, training, and positioning terrorist movements along the border of the Confederation, not only of Niger, but of the Confederation, because the objective is the dismantling of the Confederation. In this sense, what did the French do with, of course, the accompaniment of the European Union, which remains, despite the evidence, attached to the deadly and crazy policy of the French authorities? The French positioned, already on the 25th, I emphasize, the night of October 25th to 26th, 2023, equipment in the Lake Chad Basin at the time when they withdrew, when they disengaged from Niger, passing of course by land which links us with the sister Republic of Chad. They made contact with the terrorists. They offered them, the terrorists of the Bakura wing with Abu their leader, and the terrorists of the ISWAP wing with Abu Musa al-Barnawi as leader, financing, training, and equipment on the condition that these movements agree to go to war against the Republic of Niger, on the condition that these movements accept that French troops occupy the Lake Chad Basin, certain islands that we know, but whose name we keep silent for obvious reasons. They made this proposal to the two wings of the former Boko Haram of Yusuf Mohammed, if you remember. When they made the proposal on the night of October 25th to 26th, 2023, the Bakura wing was more conciliatory. The ISWAP wing had openly said that it was not ready to go with the French to attack any Muslim country whatsoever. Their fight is for Islam, according to them. But Islam is not learned in Niger. Some, of course, 6th Khalifa, Islam was introduced in Niger. To tell you the strategy used by France, this is not the first contact. They continued and maintained permanent contact with these terrorist movements. They left to create the Lakurwa movement. This Lakurwa movement has caused a lot of ink to flow, but we have, and as I said, God is with the truthful, we have, through special operations conducted, arrested terrorist leaders who have declared to us everything I have just told you and that I am going to tell you.
The allegation is baseless, and I think it is malicious. But this is not strange because one problem with military interregnum and junta is that whenever they come to take over power, the impulse, the zeal, far outweigh planning. So whenever they take over, usually there is the initial honeymoon they have with the populace. But after a while, when the honeymoon is over, you'll be required to govern. It is at that point, most military leadership, they lose sight of exactly what they intend to do. That is exactly what is happening to the leader of Niger. No plan, has terrible economic situation, and so many things are going bad. So he's scapegoating, and he decided to level this baseless allegation. Nigeria is self-sufficient. The Nigerian armed forces have all the capacities to protect and safeguard lives and property and our territorial integrity. Even when we had the deepest Boko Haram war, we never provided our platforms as a foreign base for any foreign armed forces or foreign soldiers. And so he knows for a fact that that is not true. But the bigger part of it is that it seems like he's in cahoots with some politicians in Nigeria, because what he did was deliberate and intended to mislead a population in Nigeria that come from the northern extraction. He granted an interview in a local language and leveled allegations that cannot be substantiated. Nigeria has played a very, very important role in this geopolitical setting. Nigeria has been a leader in the West African sub-region. Nigeria has assisted and continues to assist our West African neighbors. So the allegation is quite unfortunate.
I hear you, but are there diplomatic alternatives considering that Niger remains a neighbor?
Obviously, diplomacy will never, you never say never in diplomacy. And also in diplomacy, you'll be able to tighten your end and express your displeasure. Definitely, Nigeria as a country is not comfortable and happy with that kind of baseless allegation. There are many channels. There are direct channels and indirect channels. And we have our embassies, our embassy in that country. Again, we have the National Intelligence Agency. We have the National Security Advisor. We have all of these platforms that could have been used. And if you recall, not long ago, we had a visit by, I think, Nigerian envoy in those countries. So we have been exploring diplomatic means of settling what they have, incurred to themselves with this view of planning to leave the ECOWAS. So, but we are yet to determine what is the motivation behind that. But all we know is first to refute the claim and express our displeasure over that careless statement or careless interview that was rendered with unsubstantiated allegation against the government of Nigeria and against the President of the Federal Republic. It is intended to set the northern Nigeria against the government of Nigeria and against the President. That's why it was calculated and it was carried out in a local language, all in a bid to mislead the large populace of our people.
Niger, alongside Burkina Faso and Mali, exited ECOWAS. But what do you consider the implication of this new development on efforts to tackle regional insecurity like the JTF, which aims to combat terrorism in the Sahel region?
I think the position of the ECOWAS is quite clear, led by the President of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, who said that while we uphold the ideals of democracy and the standard upon which ECOWAS as a body consists and operates. And then while we also respect their right to leave the community and then explore other options, even when they leave the community based on the timelines, ECOWAS continues to say it will engage with them in areas of mutual benefit. You can look at trade, you can look at transport, you can also look at fight against terrorism. So ECOWAS as a body is open. Nigeria as a country is not only providing the leadership, but also leading in this endeavor. So the position of ECOWAS has actually not changed. In terms of fight against insurgency or terrorism in the Sahel, of course, you can never overestimate the role that the Nigerian government has been playing, both in terms of the military provision of personnel and in terms of logistics as well. And so Nigeria will continue to play that role in order to safeguard and in order to ensure that the Sahel does not become a platform by which so many proxy wars are going to be fought there.
We understand Niger's disposition to France, following the coup d'etat and its new alliance with Russia and what have you. But how do you think Nigeria can balance its relationship with France and good relations with its neighbors in Niger?
I don't think that the problem between Niger and France will be one that will affect the relationship between Nigeria and France or Nigeria and Niger. One thing about international diplomacy and national interest is that everybody pursue what they believe to be their national interest and national security. And Nigeria stands to play the mediating role, which is, of course, what the leadership of President Bola Tinubu is even providing in ECOWAS. We just had the ECOWAS meeting about a week or 2 weeks ago in Abuja, where some of these positions were laid bare and made clear, not just to the West African countries, but also to the countries that are intending to leave the community. So diplomacy will continue to explore all of these options that are available for the ECOWAS as against these ones that are trying to leave the ECOWAS in a bit to see how they can be convinced to see that they do not have a future. The truth of the matter is that in this present globalization, you cannot exist in isolation. 3 nations cannot form a union that will provide prosperity. So whatever is the impulse behind that decision, the hope of ECOWAS is that they will guide them into understanding the broader picture. There's always a bigger picture.